imposter syndrome in a state agency. Adam Day, you are the boss man of EXP in the UK. You've been boss man of Easy Property, Hatched, and eMove as well, I think, if memory serves you well. Do you suffer from imposter syndrome?
Yes. Less so now, though, over the last... You get used to it, don't you? I mean, imposter syndrome is where you don't believe you should be in the position that you're in because you maybe think you've overachieved or whatever it might be. And I think imposter syndrome is common with everybody. I mean, I don't know anybody who probably hasn't suffered imposter syndrome when they get to a certain level. Within self-employed estate agency, I think it's when you get so many customers contacting you to list their house and you think, oh my God, where's this come from? I don't deserve this. And, you know, I think...
Do you have an offer of self-employed agents that suffer from this then?
Yeah, well, yeah, again, it's a very common thing and they kind of can't believe that it's happening to them and they don't believe they deserve it. And
because in previous videos, we were talking about not enough people coming to you because you've got your cockiness and your ego and think it's going to come to you. But then are you saying to me that when you lose that and do the hard work and put the ego and the pride on the shelf, then the imposter syndrome comes out?
Yeah, imposter syndrome replaces that.
That's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of between the dark and the deep blue sea, or the Pam and Ryan face.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah, but I think the other thing as well is because self-employed estate agency pays so much money, that you have agents earning 100, 120, 150,000 pound a year, that plays into that imposter syndrome, no question, because people are going, wow, I'm earning 3 times, 4 times, sometimes more than I've ever earned in my life. And do I really deserve that? So I think the money has quite a big part to play in imposter syndrome sometimes.
What's your answer to the agents and bring in some of your own experiences? Because the original question was about you, but I'd like you to bring in, because most of the people watching this are going to be agents.
I've always looked at life as 4 steps to competency. There's a really cool, Google it, have a look at it, 4 steps of competency. And the first step is not knowing what you don't know. It's completely unaware of what you're getting yourself into. Step 2 is your conscious mind knowing that you've got into something and you're out of your depth. It's kind of like, it's the oh shit moment. It's oh my God, really? And then step 3 is the conscious competence where it's a bit like driving when you pass your driving test, but you still have to remember where the biting point is if you've got a manual car, or to look in your mirror to indicate, or whatever it might be. And then the final stage, stage 4, is your unconscious competence, which is you just drive, you just get in the car and drive. So I think I've put that into a box. I've realised that everything I do, I'm going to go through stage 1 to stage 4 at some point. So here, sitting with you on the sofa here, Chris, I was at stage 1 3 years ago, 4 years ago when we first did the thing. Then when the cameras went on, I was at stage 2 and I was in my oh shit moment. And probably the second time I came to visit you, I was still in my stage 2 moment, stage 2, stage 3. This time I'm stage 4. I'm just sitting here talking to you as a friend.
Cameras don't even exist, do they?
No, I'm not even, I'm aware of them clearly, but I'm not as conscious of what I'm saying. I'm not too worried about what I'm saying because I know that I'm competent at giving answers, you know, after having done it a few times. But so that I talk about that a lot within the business, is the 4 stages of competency, and just understanding that it's just a process you've got to go through. You know, standing on stage for me in front of 250 people is still at stage 2 for me. It's still my oh shit moment, but I'm getting to stage 3. It's becoming a little bit more comfortable. But I still have to be very conscious about what I'm doing and if I'm walking or if I'm reading off a script or, you know, a lectern or whatever it might be. But it's just understanding that it's just stages of competency. That's all it is. There's 4 of them.
And has that helped you personally with where you are with different fears and frustrations that you have?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because everything I do, I try and box it in. What stage am I on that at the moment? You know. So.
And you give the same advice to your self-employed model agents who are going, shit, I've just earned 100 grand in the last 6 months.
Yeah, just get used to it, enjoy it, you deserve it. But you're at stage 2 at the moment where you think, oh my God, what do I do with all this money? Or what do I do with all this freedom? Or what do I do with all these clients that love me and, you know, keep blowing smoke up my arse and all the rest of it? And, you know, it's just stage 2. And people do get used to it and they do, you know, overcome that imposter syndrome, I think. But I actually think you should be challenging yourself to get to stage 2 and have imposter syndrome as often as you possibly can, because it means you're, in my opinion, you're moving on in life and you're achieving more and you're...
It's really interesting. I'm happy to declare that I'm a Freemason, and going on stage in front of hundreds of people doesn't faze me at all. In fact, I'm better without a script than with a script. But doing stuff in a Freemasons lodge and giving my lines really shit me up. But actually it made me come alive and made me realise that you weren't bulletproof. And, you know, sometimes you have to reduce that. Like you said, we've all got an ego. It just knocks me down a peg.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that's important. Also, I have a wife that keeps me on the straight and narrow as well, which is important. What would your final message be to estate agents who think they have a little bit of, they're too far on the ego and not so much on the hungry and humble?
I think for me, it's always understanding what my why is and what your why is. Then that allows you to become more humble because you want to achieve your why. Your why might be your kids. It might be, you know, that you want to, I don't know, die a happy man or whatever it might be. You know.
What is your why, by the way?
To change estate agency.
Okay.
Simple as that.
All right.
I've always believed that there's something missing in estate agency. I've never quite understood what it was. Thought it was maybe fees. I was wrong. Now I realise it was the ownership of the customer by a personal brand. You know, and this is not clearly an EXP Fest sale type thing, but you know, I've learned a lot. I've done every model you can think of in the UK. You know, I've been a cheap fee agent. I've been a high street agent. I've been you know, all the rest of it. And I finally think that there's a model here, which is adopted around the world, by the way. You know, we are the odd ones out. We're the idiots in the UK.
It's interesting you use the word ownership of the homeowner, not ownership of the... So you could still do this if you were employed, but let's be honest, they're not paid and commissioned to do that, are they?
And that's the problem, is that because you've got employees, they don't care. It doesn't, you know, you can show me a branch manager who will say, oh, of course I care about my clients, and of course they do. But every single self-employed person in a estate agency will care about that client just 1% or 5% or 10% more because they own that client, and that client owns that estate agent as well. I think that's really important. Is, you know, you go to America, and the client will say, "Let me speak to my real estate agent about X, Y, Z," and that real estate agent isn't going to get paid anything because they're not going to sell their house. They're just asking their real estate agent about whether they should, I don't know, convert their garage into a cinema room or whatever it might be over in the States. And so their real estate agent says, "Yeah, great idea," and that's their real estate agent, and we don't have that. We don't have that ownership of both sides. The customer doesn't own us and we don't own the customer because we're employed. It's a transactional relationship because of the employed nature, in my opinion, now that I've done it.
Interesting. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks a lot.